Let's time it out for you here. Before all of that mess gets into Chicago this morning, it is bringing rain and thunderstorms from Nebraska to Iowa, and we are not finished yet. We are going to see several more rounds come on through before we can clear this out. By the way, a lot cooler air coming in too. There's a look at the storms for our Thursday. Look at how we have a couple rounds of it that will be coming through this evening as we're trying to get ready to bed and trying to fall asleep. I'll tell you what, there's going to be some gnarly winds with some of these cells that are pushing through. That gets through, and we still have yet. You got to get through the upper level energy, which lags behind some of that surface stuff sometimes. So thunder and lightning, I mean, I'm telling you, Nebraska is really going to be one of those areas that's going to be hit the hardest with this. Notice the line of storms that is crossing over 80 into Kearney, Nebraska. And as we push eastbound, North Platte, westbound, you can see the spin in the atmosphere too. You see that counterclockwise flow. I think it's always cool when you see that on the radar because you don't always get to see that. But as we work our way through Des Moines, this is this morning. Then as we go into the afternoon and evening, really the overnight hours is when it's going to hit us. This is midnight, so you could get woken up. You know, if you didn't sleep well this week, well, this is not going to help you, or maybe it'll lull you to sleep. I finally got a good night's sleep last night. Not that anyone cares. Had a rough night of sleep this week, but there was a little bit of rain in Atlanta, and I'm thinking that's what kind of just calmed me into this nice sleep that I had. Chicago, though, as Reynolds was just talking about, it's going to be a mess tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, I would say you're fine with your flights. You'll be able to get out, but yikes, into the afternoon, this is going to wreak havoc on air travel, and it lasts through the evening hours, into the overnight hours, in fact, Jordan.
What a bummer, right? Friday, trying to get... Well, welcome into Pattern, everybody, the first climate change talk show. I'm Jordan Steele.
And I'm Stephanie Abrams. Before we get to the show, we want to get to Lynette Charles, who's joining us with the weather because we have had multiple tornado warnings this morning, Lynette.
We have, and they're going into the afternoon as well.
Even more.
Okay, so a shutdown of the EPA, that opens a big can of worms. Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali is the Executive Vice President, Conservation and Justice at the National Wildlife Federation. Yeah. Joining us, also a matter of the Pattern Climate Board, I add Pattern Advisory Board, joining us now to chat about this, this what could be. So let's talk about the shutdown. If we get a government shutdown, does the EPA then have no regulation at all? Do they shut the doors and say, well, we're just going to wait till things get worked out and we close everything down, or can they keep regulating? Sometimes it's always so tough because we talk about inflation, we talk about how much debt we're in, and you could have the counter side of that, like, you know what? Some people might think maybe we need a good government shutdown so we can figure out our budget because we're all over the place. Is there any credit in that statement?
I don't think
so. For being part of our board.
We're so glad
really
and happy that you're part of our board.
Thank you.
All right, we want to have a look at what's making headlines today, and for that, we're going to go over to Lynette.
All right, guys. I love that story there. You have options, and, you know, everything's so expensive, so that could help in a big way.
Yeah. I don't have, but I would like one of the ones that you can control on your phone, you know, for your air. I mean, you can control, you just got a washer and dryer. He just got a new washer and dryer.
It's too much.
And you can
control everything with your phone.
Wow.
And I don't do that. It's weird.
Jordan, you're fancy. Jordan's fancy.
But I don't use it. I still go and do the dial.
He did by hand redo his entire laundry room, you know, by hand himself. Well, your stepdad too, but
yeah,
he did all that.
Anyway.
I don't know why you'd need that on your phone. Like, yes, start close. You do that when you put them in. Anyway, Lynette, thank you. We're going to check back with you in a little bit, but this weekend could be prime viewing for those who are hoping to catch the most spectacular views of the changing leaves, but heat and drought fueled by climate change are muting some of the brightest colors.
Yeah, new research suggests that the summer's widespread smoke from wildfires could further dampen the highlights of the season. NBC News correspondent Chase Kane explains these impacts.
And later this hour, we'll show you why you shouldn't rake those leaves when they fall on your yard. So we're going to give you a great excuse to not have to rake the leaves.
Not this year. So it's interesting to think about how smoke is impacting that, because I was kind of thinking back to the fires that hit like California, parts of the Columbia Basin, Washington, because some of the grape growers, they were like, this is going to impact the wine coming out. I'm like, oh, that makes sense too. So it could totally, I guess, dampen down the colors which is a bummer because we love to go out and view those, take pictures of those.
Especially in the Northeast, the weather's been just ripping them off the trees with all the wind and the rain. So let's go to Lynette with a look at the weather. And Lynette, do we still have that tornado warning or has it expired?
So thankfully that's expired. You guys.
All right, Lynette. Well, our next guests might not have a lot to say, but you won't want to miss them. We've got a few. This is your home for the latest news in climate change and sustainability. I'm Jordan Steele.
And I'm Steph Abrams. let's get to today's hot topics. As the leaves begin to change colors, don't fall into the trap of raking. Here's how ditching the rake and leaving the leaves can help pollinators.
Oh, they would stay in the valleys and stuff, and then you'd have so many on the ground, and we would all playing them.
Yeah,
get
it's
all
really
dirty.
A lot of fun. Do you have to do them at your house, or they're allowed to stay on? Your HOA doesn't have any issue with them?
I've never received a letter, so it's just like letting them blow down the road.
I love that if you have an excuse note to your HOA, be like, the Weather Channel told me it's better to leave them.
Science. Hashtag science. All right, new laundry detergent. Here you go, aiming to help you reduce.
I'm obsessed with this
plastic
story.
Plastic bottle waste. I know, me too. I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently it's Arm & Hammer just debuted. You can recycle. So I thought we were talking about dryer sheets,
so
right?
Did I, when
Everyone has dryers. You
in our
use
meeting,
those?
In our meeting, we were talking about all the stories we were doing today, and Jordan and I were like so confused. Like, wait a second, what? This is going in the washing machine?
Right. I was so confused. I didn't know this was a thing, and now I got to look at it at the store. Apparently, it's out there. This isn't the only company that does it.
I think it's also great for if you're traveling and you need to do laundry. Now you just have, take 3 or 4 of them. I mean, they're tiny and you're done and done.
Because it is weird when I go through TSA and they pull out a big Arm & Hammer thing.
Right,
like, what is this?
Awkward.
Not 3 ounces.
How annoying is it when it like drips all over everything?
Oh, all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
You know, and so this is just.
So now it's like, you know how you have that little pull-out tray where you put the liquid? Do you just fold it up and just squeeze it in there?
I'm guessing you just throw it into the wash.
I know, I'm just teasing.
Like,
if you had to do that.
We're going to let Danny do your laundry at home, Jordan. All right, let's go on to hot topic number 3. Cell phone data is making it a lot easier to track ducks. In the past, scientists used battery.
How long that battery lasts.
I never did either. Now that you think about it, it's like, oh, we've tracked them for like years.
Long time. But now we've got these, solar paneled options where you don't have to change the battery out. You just let them fly around.
Speaking of ducks, you remember that duck that was in Central Park a few years ago that was like not supposed to be there, and it was the most beautiful duck everyone had ever seen, had all these like beautiful colors. You don't remember that?
Oh, what happened?
Someone will who's watching. There was a duck. No, it just wasn't supposed to be there. So like everyone was going to Central Park, and I went up there. I was like, I gotta go see. And I found the duck. I was so excited.
Oh my gosh.
So it'd be cool if you were able to track it, because like I wonder where that duck is now, and is it gonna come back, or is it moved on, or what the deal is?
That's hilarious.
It was a big deal. Someone else will remember it.
Do you remember that one time where there were flamingos in Michigan?
Yes. Actually.
Oh, this year? I think it was Michigan, wasn't it?
It
They were
was.
all the way up there. Like, what are you guys doing here? You need to get back to Florida. Cold fronts are about to come in. All right, living in a city shouldn't mean you have to miss out on fresh fruits and veggies. We're going to find out how you...
Welcome back to Pattern. 6% of Americans live in areas with low access to fresh, healthy food. It's called a food desert. You might have heard that term over the years, and it's a common problem for city dwellers.
Yeah, Denver is doing things a little differently, though. Creighton Hoffeditz is the director of permaculture and perennials at Denver Urban Garden to talk to us about these cool urban gardens that seem to be popping up. Thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. You've created the largest independent network of food-producing gardens in the country. How in the heck did you guys get that thing started? Wow.
That's really cool.
That's
really cool. So I'm feeling inspired by it. What if other people are that live outside of Denver? Do you have any advice for people to get started in their own communities? Part of community, really.
Watching something grow that you planted, how cool is that? Hey, Creighton Hoffeditz, thank you so much for your time from the Denver Urban Garden. We really appreciate it. And I just can't imagine just walking in like with a bucket. I'm like, oh, I'll just take this.
There was an apartment complex I lived in almost 20 years ago now, and they had a little area.
On the roof or out like outside?
No, it was just outside. They had an area in where you could rent, and it was always filled. And I always wanted, even though I really have no idea what I'm doing, I was going to try to plant something.
Yeah.
But it was already all.
Because you know what's great about that?
What?
You go out there and people teach you all sorts of stuff you would have no idea.
You learn something new.
That's the best way to do it.
And
but it was like for fishing. I was this little kid in 5th grade. I'd ride my bike and I'd be with all these fishermen. They would teach me so much stuff.
That's cool. That is cool.
They were just like being that dad or just like helping me out. It was really cool.
What about ice fishing?
What about it?
Because it's cold.
Oh, jeez.
You see, got you there. All right, so we are definitely in fall, guys, because we're talking about winter. We're going to be dealing with those thunderstorms.
Yeah. Like it's going to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately. And Lynette, thank you.
Well, you might not realize it, but there are way fewer birds in the U.S. that there were just a decade ago.
So the question is, where are they all?
And some of these birds, they're so beautiful. The vibrant colors.
I know.
Weird movements.
Yeah, it is interesting they move like that. You did that really right? I think for Halloween you should be a bird. Do you guys have Halloween costumes yet?
I won't be celebrating Halloween this year.
Oh, you're not?
That's neither here
Okay.
nor there. But my
about
kids
the
will.
kid? Yeah, what about the
my
kids?
They totally will. They got
not
costumes.
about you, Jordan. It's about
I know.
the kids.
I wish I could be there with them, but
Do you dress up your dog in
All those
outfits?
thunderstorms, we could see some flooding
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
all the rain.
Yeah, all the little guy stuff. Lynette, thank you so much for that.
all right. Here's what's coming up on Pattern tomorrow. Grab your gloves.
As well.